often substantializing it or absolutizing it in a way that would negate the unicity of the one without the second. At the risk of oversimplifying this very complex matter, one can say that along the first line, that is evil as emanating from the one, Kabbalists have variously situated the source of evil on at least 4 different levels of divine reality. And in order to explain this briefly, one has to refer sketchily to the doctrine of the infinite, Ein Sof. That is, the Ein Sof for Kabbalists is the unqualifiable divine essence that lies beyond all determinations, beyond all differentiations. It is the unqualified infinite. And on the other hand, there is in Jewish Kabbalah the so-called Sephirot, which are the 10 divine ways of being or acting or producing that are often referred to as the 10 lights, the 10 lights of God, the 10 ways in which God produces, manifests, acts, and so forth. These Sephirot form a tree that can be differentiated either horizontally or vertically. Horizontally, one can distinguish between 2 levels of reality, according to the Kabbalah. What Kabbalists call the great phase, which is comprised of the 3 upper Sephirot, Keter, crown, Chokhmah, wisdom, and Bina, which is discriminative intelligence. And then the 6 creative Sephirah, together with the receptive matrix of the influx that transmits it to the world of creation, Malchut. So basically you have, if you wish, 2 levels. The first level corresponds to, let's say, the transcendent reaches of the divinity. And then the second level would be that dimension of the divinity that has more directly to do with production, with external production. And then at the lower bottom, so to speak, you have Malchut, the kingdom that transmits the emanation from the Sephirah to the world of creation. The Kabbalistic school that was influenced by Isaac Luria's thought situates the source of evil in the infinite Ein Sof itself, and that's very important to emphasize it. That is, it situates the source of evil in that infinite reality that transcends the Sephirah and any determination. In the words of the 13th century Kabbalist Moses Nachmanides, I quote, "Before the creation of the world, Ein Sof withdrew itself into its essence, from itself to itself within itself. It left an empty space within its essence, in which it could emanate and create." Further elaborations of this withdrawal of God, known as Tzimtzum, connects it more explicitly to an opening of the way to darkness. In other words, the withdrawal of the light results in a kind of thickening opacity from which the various levels of creation emanate, thanks to the return of a ray of light. That means that in fact creation is a mixture of light and darkness. It is sometimes compared to a shadow which, without receiving directly the light, benefits from it to a limited extent, as through a curtain. So this is evil, the seed of evil, so to speak, in Ein Sof, in the infinite. It is, however, on the level of the Sephirot that the sources of evil are to be primarily found through the appearance of rigor and judgment in contradistinction with mercy and grace. On the level of the great phase, it is the third Sephirah, Bina, or discriminative and analytic divine intelligence, that delimits and fixes the qualities of things. And this delimitation and this fixation necessarily implies opposition and multiplicity in principle. However, on this highest level, determination cannot be separated from unity, nor severity from mercy, which is why, according to Moses Cordovello, I quote, Bina, discriminative intelligence, consists of mercy, even though judgment arises from it. Eden, the first three Sephirot, including differentiating Bina, it is with Din or Gevurah that the higher Sephirah, the left arm of God, that judgment is, as it were, unveiled. And here I have to refer to the higher and the lower dimensions of the divine. Now we have two vertical columns, so to speak, the left arm of God and the right arm of God. The first having to do with rigor and judgment, the second having to do with union, mercy, grace, and love. So I quote here, "The action of judgment was hidden in the first three Sephirot, while it did not appear there until its place of revelation in Gevurah or Din." So in other words, judgment, differentiation, separation was already present in Bina, in divine analytic intelligence, but it manifests itself to the full extent only in divine judgment. Din or Gevurah. That means that Gevurah or Din crystallizes the exclusive limitations of everything. And it is in this severity and separation that lies precisely the main locus of evil. Fundamentally, stern divine judgment, is like the determinative naming of the divine essence by itself. It therefore marks a kind of bifurcation within the divine between self and other, essence and name. That's why some Kabbalistic texts call the divine name called some little bit of manifestation. Which means that the divine name, inasmuch as it entails bifurcation between the essence and the name, presides over and prefigures every further manifestation. In this foundational sense, the otherness of stern judgment is the first manifestation of evil. But finally, and fourthly, evil can be considered to be fully active for Kabbalists in Malchut, in the domain of immanence. Inasmuch as the latter, the divine kingdom of immanence, transmits the divine influx to existence. It is symbolically identified, this domain of immanence, with the female, with the divine female, whose highest nature is the Shekhinah, the divine presence that connects to the highest realms, but whose separation from the male, Yesod, can also break the flow of Sephirotic unity, and in asserting its illusory independence, creates evil and the demonic. In a sense, therefore, the world of evil begins fully with the world of creations, since there lies separations and curtains. In another sense, however, evil is the prerogative of man in connection with freedom, here again, as in Arabic. Thus, some Kabbalists, among whom Joseph Gigatilla, make a distinction between judgment as it stands from the economy of the divine production of itself, and that misleading aspect of it which is actualized by mankind, and that implies an abusive mingling of domains or subversion of levels, and which is identified with evil. This is expressed quite suggestively through the dual symbolism of the serpent, of the snake in Kabbalah. In the divine order, the latter, the snake, is the principle that brings out the cosmos. Gigatilla considers it to be a good servant of the Lord as long as the serpent remains outside of the divine precinct, so to speak. Because as such, the snake facilitates the divine emanation and beyond the overarching scheme of universal existence from God to God. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil symbolizes, in this sense, the orderly separation between the divine and cosmic domains. Its fruit can be deciphered as the symbolic crystallization of the outcome and spiritual benefits of the divine plan. But the premature and transgressive eating of the fruit, however, seems to treat the centrifugal phase of the divine plan as if it were an end in itself, or as if it were the centripetal completion of existence, thereby subverting the order of creation and abusively confusing the levels of reality. Indeed, It amounts to treating the relative production of the world as an absolute. It amounts to absolutizing creation, which is the essence of all further transgressions. So in this scenario, it is not so much the ontological unfolding of the world down the divine degrees that stands for evil, but the human misused ability to relate to it and to make use of it through free will. So here again we have both the metaphysical foundation of evil in this process of illumination through the degrees of divine reality and manifestation, but on the other hand, the actualization, the full actualization of evil through the exercise of human free will. Finally, in Kashmiri Shaivite metaphysics and mysticism, the characters of the Absolute derive from Shiva's primary